In the shadow of St. Peter's Basilica, a single decision could reshape the Catholic Church's soul in Europe. As Vienna awaits its new archbishop, whispers of a controversial frontrunner expose the intricate, secretive machinery of Vatican decision-making, where faith, politics, and power collide. What forces will shape the future of one of Catholicism's most storied dioceses? In the heart of Vienna, the archdiocese stands at a critical juncture, its leadership vacant since Cardinal Christoph Schönborn's retirement in January 2025. This historic seat, often held by a cardinal and a beacon of Catholic influence in Europe, awaits a new archbishop whose appointment could reverberate far beyond Austria. Currently, Bishop Grunwald serves as apostolic administrator, overseeing spiritual and administrative duties until the Vatican names a permanent successor. Yet, the delay in this decision, now projected for late summer 2025, has sparked intense speculation, particularly around Bishop Hermann Glettler of Innsbruck, a figure whose potential nomination stirs both hope and concern. To understand this moment, we must delve into the Vatican's opaque decision-making process, a blend of spiritual discernment, bureaucratic precision, and strategic calculation that shapes the Church's global leadership. The Vatican's decision-making process, a complex machinery. The appointment of bishops, especially for prominent dioceses like Vienna, is governed by the Vatican's Dicastery for Bishops, a body tasked with evaluating and recommending candidates for episcopal roles worldwide. This process, rooted in centuries of tradition, is both highly structured and deeply confidential. The dicastery, currently led by Cardinal Robert Prevost, now Pope Leo XIV, compiles detailed dossiers on potential candidates, assessing their theological orthodoxy, pastoral experience, and administrative competence. Local bishops, nuncios, Vatican diplomats, and other clergy provide input, often through confidential reports known as terna, which propose 3 candidates for a vacancy. These recommendations are vetted through consultations with clergy, laity, and sometimes even secular authorities, ensuring a broad perspective on a candidate's suitability. The final decision rests with the Pope, who holds absolute authority in episcopal appointments. However, the process is far from unilateral. As noted in historical accounts, the Pope often relies on the dicastery's recommendations, which are shaped by extensive deliberations. Pope Leo XIV, who served as prefect of the Dicastery for Bishops before his election in May 2025, brings unparalleled expertise to this process, having overseen the vetting of candidates globally. His familiarity with figures like Bishop Glettler suggests that any appointment will reflect a deliberate vision for the Church's future. Yet, the delay in Vienna's appointment hints at internal debates or strategic considerations, possibly influenced by the recent transition from Pope Francis's papacy, which ended with his death in April 2025. The Vatican's decision-making is not merely administrative, it is a spiritual exercise. Cardinals and bishops are expected to discern God's will through prayer and reflection, a principle emphasized during the 2024 Synod on Synodality, which highlighted the need for transparency and accountability in church governance. However, the process remains secretive to protect the integrity of deliberations and shield candidates from external pressures. This secrecy, while designed to foster freedom of conscience, can fuel speculation, as seen in Vienna's case, where the lack of an official announcement has amplified concerns about Glettler's candidacy. The Vienna appointment, a case study in controversy. The potential appointment of Bishop Hermann Glettler exemplifies the complexities of Vatican decision-making. Glettler, known for his progressive approach, has drawn attention for his unconventional liturgical and artistic choices. A notable example is the 2019 Lenten cloth in Innsbruck's cathedral, a €15,000 installation featuring a pig's heart encased in transparent material as a modern interpretation of the Sacred Heart devotion. Praised by some as a bold engagement with contemporary culture, it was criticized by others as irreverent, sparking debate about the role of sacred art in worship. Similarly, Glettler's endorsement of provocative artworks, such as Christian Eisenberger's stylized crucifixion, has raised questions about whether such expressions align with Catholic reverence. These decisions, documented by independent Catholic outlets, have made Glettler a polarizing figure, with critics arguing his leadership could shift Vienna away from its traditional roots. Glettler's broader ministry adds another layer to the controversy. His 2023 sermon in Reute, Austria, emphasized environmental stewardship and solidarity with refugees, echoing Pope Francis' Laudato Si, and framing these issues as spiritual imperatives. His co-authored book, Don't Choose Hate, Choose Love, with a non-Catholic religious leader, promotes interfaith dialogue and compassion, earning praise for its inclusivity, but raising concerns among traditionalists about diluting Catholic doctrine. These initiatives reflect a pastoral vision that aligns with the Vatican's recent emphasis on synodality and social engagement, but clashes with those who prioritize doctrinal clarity. The delay in Vienna's appointment may reflect the Vatican's careful navigation of these tensions. The dicastery for bishops likely faces pressure to balance progressive and conservative factions within the Church, a challenge intensified by Pope Leo XIV's early papacy. Recent reports indicate that Leo XIV aims to unify the Church by addressing contentious issues like abuse cases and traditional liturgy, suggesting that Vienna's appointment will be a litmus test for his leadership. The choice of an archbishop could signal whether the Vatican prioritizes continuity with Francis's inclusive agenda or a return to conservative orthodoxy, as some cardinals advocated before the 2025 conclave. Historical context, Vienna's legacy, and Vatican dynamics. Vienna's archdiocese has long been a focal point for navigating tradition and innovation. Cardinal Schönborn, who led the diocese for nearly 3 decades, was known for balancing openness with restraint. His endorsement of a 2019 concert in St. Stephen's Cathedral, criticized by traditionalists like Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano for its provocative elements, sparked a public rosary protest led by lay Catholic Alexander Tschugwell. Earlier in 2009, Austrian artist Alfred Hrdlicka's controversial religious art, displayed in church settings, drew criticism for disrespecting sacred imagery, highlighting Vienna's role as a testing ground for cultural and liturgical boundaries. These events underscore the diocese's historical significance and the scrutiny its leadership faces. The Vatican's decision-making process has evolved to address such complexities. The Second Vatican Council, 1962 to 1965, a landmark in church history, emphasized collegiality and the role of bishops' conferences, granting local episcopates greater autonomy in certain matters. However, the Pope retains ultimate authority, a dynamic evident in Pope Francis's hands-on approach to appointments, as seen in his personal interventions in the Order of Malta and other institutions. Pope Leo XIV's early actions, such as confirming top Vatican officials on a temporary basis, suggest a cautious approach to reshaping the Curia while he evaluates his priorities. The Vienna appointment will likely reflect this balance, with the dicastery for bishops playing a pivotal role in ensuring the candidate aligns with both local needs and the Pope's global vision. Broader implications: art, culture, and the Church's mission. The controversy surrounding Glettler's candidacy touches on broader questions about the Church's engagement with modern culture. Across Europe, sacred spaces are increasingly repurposed for cultural use, as seen in Berlin's St. Agnes Church, transformed into the König Gallery after its deconsecration in 2004. Exhibitions there, featuring stylized religious imagery, have sparked debates about the appropriateness of such art in former churches, mirroring concerns in Vienna. These trends reflect the Church's challenge in a secularizing world: how to remain relevant while preserving its sacred identity. The Vatican's response to these challenges is evident in its recent reforms. In 2024, the Dicastery for the Doctrine of the Faith updated norms for discerning supernatural phenomena, streamlining decision-making to provide faster pastoral responses while avoiding definitive judgments on authenticity. This approach reflects a broader shift toward flexibility and decentralization, as emphasized in the 2024 Synod on Synodality, which called for inclusive decision-making involving laity and women. However, the Vatican's insistence on secrecy in processes like episcopal appointments underscores the tension between transparency and tradition, a dynamic at play in Vienna's ongoing vacancy. A call to prayer and discernment. As Vienna awaits its new archbishop, the faithful are called to prayer and reflection. The Vatican's decision-making, while rooted in spiritual discernment, is shaped by human complexities, bureaucratic deliberations, theological debates, and cultural pressures. Pope Leo XIV, navigating the early days of his papacy, faces a defining moment. His choice for Vienna will signal his vision for the Church: a bridge between tradition and modernity, or a bold step toward one over the other. Independent Catholic commentators, from blogs to platforms like EWTN, urge prayer for wisdom, emphasizing that the Church's mission hinges on leaders who uphold reverence, clarity, and fidelity to Christ. This moment is more than a transition. It's a test of the Church's ability to proclaim the gospel in an age of skepticism and change. Vienna's next archbishop will inherit a diocese rich in history but fraught with challenges, from declining attendance to cultural polarization. As the Vatican deliberates, the faithful are invited to trust in the Holy Spirit, praying for a leader who will shepherd with courage, humility, and hope. The decision, when it comes, will not only shape Vienna, but also offer a glimpse into the Church's path forward in a world yearning for truth and unity.